I want to go over a glaring common fact out there that probably people maybe saw, maybe they're aware of, maybe it just kind of they saw it and they said, "Oh yeah, whatever." But basically, there's talk about Russia dumping the U.S. debt. First off, Russia doesn't really have much. I don't think they have any U.S. debt, and they're talking about dumping the dollar. Now, I'm going to tell you really who really has the most U.S. debt, and you might be surprised. Actually, this alternative media garbage about the threats from Russia about dumping the debt and dumping the dollars are ludicrous because actually the big Russians that have the bucks are dumping the ruble because the ruble has been tanking over the last year. And if you look over the last 100 years, the ruble has basically went to, virtually infinity. I mean, it's went to oblivion infinity that way, microscopic infinity. But as far as like who actually has the most debt, and you think, oh, is it the institutions in the United States? In a way, that's true. Is it maybe Chinese and the Japanese combined? No. You know who it is? It's the Federal Reserve System. The Federal Reserve System actually is holding the most U.S. debt. The big question is, how do they unwind the balance sheet? In other words, they bought this stuff, they have it on the balance sheet, they have it on the balance sheet at this certain value, and basically it's a bunch of worthless junk bonds. Basically, I hate to say it, but that's what it is. If nobody wants it and they buy it themselves, it's like you running a company, you're producing widgets, and nobody wants the widgets, right? So you want to shore the price of the widgets up. You want to say the widgets are going for $19.95. People aren't willing to spend $19.95 on a widget. So you, as the company, decide to buy back your own widgets at $19.95 to keep the interest rates, to keep the, keep them afloat, the price afloat. It's a stupid example, but basically it's probably a better way of putting it than some of the other ways people are putting it. And you got like a big storehouse of widgets, and you're saying on your balance sheet they're $19.95. But maybe these are Gorbachev dolls that are $19.95 and no longer nobody wants them, right? That's really kind of like what's going on with the Federal Reserve. I mean, to put it simplistically, but on the balance sheet, we look at the balance sheet. Oh yeah, look at all this. Look at all the assets they have. They're really solid company here. No. And the big question is, and actually the Federal Reserve System is actually a cartel of banks. So what does that mean? Who bails out the Federal Reserve? The World Central Bank? Get it? You see the game that's going on here, right? Pretty freaking obvious. Now, for you guys that are in women, I don't think I think Russia Today is probably has a lot of fans of males on there because I'd really like to do the silver updates with the girls on the motorcycles and stuff like that, but I don't know. Sometimes they get gigged by people from like, hey, you can't have that on YouTube. But they're more fun to do. And I could put the same information on there, but I don't know. It's like you don't totally have a free avenue all the way here, but anyway, the thing is with Russia Today, I swear to God, I think it's mostly a male audience. They put the babes on there with the skirts and stuff like that. On CNN they only show them from here up, but on Russia Today, man, they give them all the angles. I think that has something to do with their ratings too. But there's a lot of Putin worshippers on there. I'm going to tell you this, man. Everybody's knocking the West. Everybody's on that Russian Today hero thing. They're knocking the West. They're freaking playing like Putin's the big hero. And I'm going to tell you right now, this guy is not. He's not. I'm going to tell you, even from the people that anybody has a brain in Russia knows. You want to know what the Russian law is? The law is Putin. You want to know what right and wrong? It's whatever he says. The guy's a dictator. They don't have common law, trial by jury. The only place that has that is the United States, Canada, UK, Australia. And in the United States, we elect a lot of our judges locally. UK, they don't even do that. So we got a lot of leeway on our laws. Russia and most of the world, civil law. Civil law, which means whatever they say on the top elite say, that's what goes. He's the law, man. That's exactly what it is. These people on Russia Today are like worshiping this guy like left and right. And I'm like, no way. Anyway, But as far as what's coming up here, it's like too quiet right now. I know the markets do receded quite a bit, a couple hundred points on a Dow today. Silver staying pretty flat. I think oil is going to start creeping back up again. They released 5 million barrels of crude oil from the Strategic Oil Reserve, I think, to try to hurt the global oil prices, to maybe hurt Russia financially. I don't think that's going to work. That's going to be a very temporary measure. Russia's got a load of oil, crude oil, and natural gas. And actually, even like, you talk about nuclear armament and stuff, they have half the enriched uranium in the world. Russia. These guys, man, I'm telling you what, this guy, I remember like Pastor LW used to say from his elite friend, that the elite friend used to tell him China was the big one. I am going to tell you Russia is the big one. They got a lot of wild weaponry out there. Actually in Ukraine, they have 80,000 troops there right now, 200-something tanks. And I think the U.S. has their company in there called, I think it's no longer called Blackwater, but I'll call it Blackwater, but they're in there now, and like, the alternative media is like boo, 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 and I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't think you're really thinking correct on this deal, but pretty much the law of the land in Ukraine and Russia is lawlessness, or just whatever the heavy-handed dictator says. I don't think the people in the alternative media are thinking about anything. Either they're stupid or they're working for the bad guys, or in effect they're working for the bad guys too. But I'm going to tell you right now, the situation with the Federal Reserve being the largest holder of debt is telling you the dollar is going to have some kind of severe problem. It's going to. It's not going to disappear. I don't think it's going to disappear. But what's going to happen is, if the Federal Reserve itself gets in trouble, who bails out the Federal Reserve? I think that where they're talking about the crisis, it's going to be who bails out Japan, who bails out the Federal Reserve, who bails out the EU, who bails out. See, the game is they're all playing this game through debt, and it's going to be a bailout through a global financial something, whatever they're going to make, the IMF, the World Bank, something is going to be created out of this to bail out all the other countries throughout the world. And you see, this is one of the problems that I guess the elite have with Russia, because they're not playing the game exactly, but their GDP is actually going down a lot too. I mean, but you have to look at it this way. Maybe the leader Putin isn't exactly playing a game of the Western elite, but he's not a good guy either. Not at all. This is where everybody misses the boat. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people in the alternative media miss the boat, is because Putin actually is a guy that doesn't really care about your rights. He's the law of the land, and that's it. That's called a dictatorship. That's what you call when a bunch of weak people get behind somebody and they have to not think, and they can't stand on their own 2 feet. They want to get behind somebody, and they want to have them do their thinking for them. And that's what we have a lot of. So, actually, I can tell you right now, I think that when the global financial reset comes, just the way Bitcoin was a big frenzy, a lot of people are going to run to the new replacement electronic money. They're going to run to the mark of the beast. They're not going to give a damn about, staying true or staying real. And I think that's going to be the vast majority of people. Because the vast majority of people are very weak. They're very weak. And I'm suggesting that you stay strong, you stick with silver. There's going to be a time when you're going to take cash for silver, but that doesn't mean you're going to hold cash forever. Always think about your next move. And your next move is going to be different for everybody involved, because it depends on what type of person you are and what you're into or what you do. If you're into manufacturing textiles, there might be some kind of machines that manufacture textiles or something. Or if you're somebody that's going to grow organic foods, it might be something to do along with that type of capital assets to help you do that. So your next move is going to be very important. But it is extremely obvious. I don't see how the hell they're going to do taper and keep interest rates down at the same time when the Federal Reserve itself is the largest holder of the U.S. debt. I don't know how the hell they can do that. You know, it's like if the Federal Reserve threatened the United States that they were going to unload the debt, that would be a threat. Not Russia. Not Russia. Actually, the problem with Russia is you're going to have a problem with Russia. Actually, I think they're a military threat. They're a military threat. And I'm going to actually say one thing here because I don't want to put it out on a specific video because I don't want to give them too many. I think they know this anyway. Now, if I was them and, I had all these special weapons, if you look back at Zhirinovsky, he claimed that the Japanese tsunami, Vladimir Zhirinovsky, the head of the Durma, the colonel, elected politician that's been a big voice in Russian politics for many years, he claimed that right this, not in writing, and you saw it, you could see him tell it, he said that, it's a YouTube video, I'll point to a link. He said that the Japanese tsunami was caused by a secret Russian weapon against Japan. And they could do this to other parts of the world. Now, if you look at, how most of the West is situated with coastal cities like New York, Baltimore, Boston, Los Angeles, Miami, Savannah, Georgia, D.C., everything out there, and plus even you're looking at a lot of the cities in like London, or I don't know if London might be well protected, but even in Europe, that could bring about a lot of devastation through a tsunami type weapon that could be used, that could be detonated in the ocean, and cause maybe not a 200-foot tidal wave, but maybe a 20-foot tidal wave, which would cause massive devastation to, the financial district of New York and stuff. It would really cause havoc for millions and millions of people. I think, when the time comes, that might be the way they're going to play the game. That might be the way they're going to play the game. So I'm throwing this in here on this silver update, but people are doing buying silver, physical silver for prepping. They're also doing physical prepping, food and water and energy and stuff. You would be smart to do that, but I just want to say this and leave you with this. Don't reject the American system. The American system is definitely not the problem. There's always corruption in the nature of humans, no matter where they are in the world. The American system actually is the best system for removing that corruption. The problem is most people are not taking action when they should be, and they only do so when the economy is bad. Do not change the system. The Russian system is bad news, and we got a lot of people in the West that are being led around the nose by Russia Today propaganda and Putin like they got the best deal in the world. Actually, if you look in Russia, the homicide rate in that country is double that of the United States. Plus, they all drink twice as much as the United States, too, on average. There's a lot of problems going on in Russia. Actually, it's very, very dangerous to be a journalist in Russia, too. If Russia Today was, one of those newscasters in Russia Today was over there in Russia and they started bringing up dirt on Putin and what's going on in the state, corruption, they'd be dead. They'd be dead. They'd be freaking thrown. So, the problem is we got a lot of people in the West that are buying this, and I find those to be very weak people that are looking for easy answers, so they just get behind Vladimir Putin. They say, oh, he's my hero, and I don't have to do nothing. This is what's wrong. The West is bad. No, the West is not bad. There's always bad people everywhere in the world. The Western system actually is the best system to correct the situation. Do not reject the system. The system is not actually the problem. The problem is the lethargic people that allowed these things to get that bad. But again, I just want to remind you about the Federal Reserve itself has the vast majority of U.S. debt. They are the largest holder of U.S. debt. It's a mathematical impossibility that this situation can continue. Interest rates can stay low. They can just keep issuing more debt. Chinese aren't going to buy it. The end is getting near for whatever's going to come up, and whatever comes up, I think, is going to be Catastrophic for all the countries in debt. It's a deliberate game. And what the solution is going to be is through some kind of global agency or a global financial institution that's going to bail them out. And we're probably going to go to like a lot of electronic money in the market of beast. And all these Bitcoin tards out there, they're going to be accepting the market of beast left and right. I know they will. I know they will. You know, that's not my game, man. That's not my game at all. No way. Anyway, over and out. Just keep the faith and stick with your investment because it's creeping up slow. It's creeping up slow. Just remember, so many months ago, it was down around 18. People were expecting 10, 12, 8. Definitely going to hit 16 or 15, and it didn't. Right? It didn't. What happens with silver typically? It stays flat a long period of time. When it gets legs, all the gains are in the last few months. And that's where you don't know where it's going to go to. All the gains seem to happen real fast, and it crashes real fast too. So it's going to be a real guesswork to say how high is too high. It is going to be. You're going to have to be lucky. But at this price, it's a steal. It's a good buy.